but I think they should go 4K 120. I think they should put 4K 120 in the camera. You don't think they would you? You don't think they would do it, but I think they could. Hey, what's going on everybody? It's That One Camera Guy back at again with a fun video for you. Today we're just gonna chat and talk about the a7 IV. I would love to know your exact specifications that you wanna see in the a7 IV for you to wanna upgrade. So I wanna know two things. Do you wanna upgrade? What would the upgrade need to have in the a7 IV? Or you are completely brand new and you're thinking about going Sony, but you would like to know but you would like these features in this a7 IV for you to buy it brand new. So if you could do that for me, that'd be great. I know some of you have been posting your recommendations in previous videos, and I appreciate that too, but would love to have it all in this one particular video. So let me know what those specs are. Number one on my list is megapixels. This needs to go to 36 megapixels. 24 seems to be long in the tooth in my opinion, and I don't see them going to 42. But hey, if you want to go 42, Sony, by all means, prove me wrong. But I think 36 is where they need to be at in terms of appealing to people that want a little bit more resolution and detail in their photos. If you offer another 24 megapixel camera, you better do some crazy stuff in that camera. That's all I gotta say. So again, you're trying to convince people to want to buy or upgrade to this camera. 36 is a nice number. I'm not saying 42, I'm not saying 61 or whatever, but at least 36 or so would be a nice one, and it would kind of convince people like, hey, I just want a little bit more detail. Maybe they don't have the funds for an a7R3 or R4, but they're interested in getting more resolution out of their photos, and I think 36 is the way to go. Next on my list is frames per second burst. I love shooting sports, so I like this particular talking point. I think Sony needs to go with at least 12 to 15 electronic. I don't think they can do mechanical at that particular level, but 10 mechanical, maybe 12, 15 electronic, something along those lines. I think is going to be a great area for the camera to be at. I think Canon's doing 20 electronic, but you know, something they can kind of sell you on is this. So if you don't know this already, you probably already do. On the Sony a9, if you pair it up with a Sony lens like a G Master lens, typically you're going to be able to fire off at 20 frames per second, and there's other lenses that are non-GM that will do that. But if you pack on like a Tamron or a Sigma lens, you're not going to get 20 frames per second. So it could be a really nice selling point for Sony to say, hey, buy our first party glass, you get 12 to 15 frames per second. If you go somewhere else, you're not gonna get that burst. So it could be a really nice appealing feature for people that shoot sports, maybe wildlife, you know, you get the idea. Not everybody needs it, I get it, but hey, I can be a little selfish too. Next, autofocusing system for photos. Just bring it up to the A9. Bring it up close to the A9. Doesn't have to be exactly the same performance as the A9, but bring it up to speed on that department. Eye autofocus, animal eye autofocus, all that jazz, go ahead and get that incorporated into the a7 IV. Then when it comes to video autofocus, the a7R4 is already a great example. Already has eye autofocus for video, animal eye autofocus I think as well. Maybe not, who knows, I'm not sure, but just go ahead and update all those features. Also the HDMI situation, make sure that if I plug in, I can record, I can push out externally to 4K and not lose access to the back of the screen. Obviously unlimited recording options or whatever, you know, all that same stuff for autofocusing, okay? You get the idea for autofocusing. And then talking about the menu, obviously the new menu system, we gotta see that. No questions about that. Wireless features, whatever I think they did in the a7S III, make sure you get some of those wireless features in the a7 IV to make it easier to transfer files and all that good stuff. And then when it comes to video features, this is gonna be interesting. I think Sony should do 10-bit 422, hands down. That needs to be in this next generation camera, because they just developed the XAVC-S or XAVC-HS codec with the higher quality in H.265 but similar bit rates. They really should have it in their 10-bit 422 and even the higher bitrate options. But I think they should go 4K 120. I think they should put 4K 120 in the camera. You don't think they would you? You don't think they would do it, but I think they could. I think they could do it. I know you might say, well, it's probably going to overheat the camera. If you heard from my previous post about the rumors on the fact that the a7S III was supposed to come out a couple years ago, maybe Sony already figured out the overheating situation to a pretty good degree. And I've been a big proponent on the fact that Sony doesn't want to bring a camera that's going to overheat very easily. It doesn't look good. Look at what's happened to the Canon EOS R system, the R5 for that matter. it's not looking too great in terms of overheating. So I think Sony can definitely integrate whatever they've learned from the a7S III into the a7 IV and bring in a camera that shoots 4K 60, 4K 120, and not have it overheat as easily, so it sort of match that. I know you're going to say, well then why would you want to get the a7S III? You're completely right. But I think the key advantage of the a7S III has always been high sensitivity and cleaner ISOs, or just cleaner performance in the image at higher ISO ranges. I think that is really its biggest selling point for that particular camera, and folks are going to gravitate towards that camera because of that particular reason. So Sony's done this before. Do you remember when the a7S II came out and we're like, oh, holy crap, we're doing internal 4K? And the a7R II comes around, they're like, okay, this is also doing 4K internal. And then we had the a7 III come out, and that also did 4K internal. So it's not a shocker for Sony to integrate high-end video features in their other Sony mirrorless cameras. And I would say the biggest selling point again of the a7S III is the low light performance and just the cleaner performance at higher ISOs. That I think, and then also the full HDMI port, which I don't think the a7 IV is going to get, but that full HDMI port for like 16-bit raw output, all that stuff is going to be their selling point, and that's going to have a certain segment of people. But man, out the gate, folks, if all of a sudden they say 4K 120, 1080p at up to 240 frames per second, they just match the feature specs, people are just going to throw money at this camera. Okay? They're just going to throw money at this camera. I don't know. I know I'm pushing it, folks, but hey, it's happened before. It's not impossible. It's not out of the realm of possibility. All right, construction. We're going to see a fully articulating screen. If Sony doesn't do that, that's the stupidest move ever. Fully articulating screen. All right, touchscreen, all that good stuff. You get the idea. Dual CF Express Type A, I think they should do this. Remember, I was saying that they're going to go ahead and bump up the megapixels to 36. And in hand, you're going to have higher data rates when you're taking photos. And then, if you're firing off multiple bursts at higher FPS, having CF Express as an option to transfer the files will write off the files much faster. I know there's a lot of folks that would never take advantage of that to such a high degree, but if you're shooting sports or wildlife and you want to shoot a burst, it will be really handy to be able to fire off those frames and write quickly to the card so that you can use your camera again very quickly. So again, in my head, I would think, why not put that module in there? You might say, why not? Just keep the UHS-2 card slot as the option, but Sony's already created this CF Express module. Why not use it in the a7 IV and sell Sony branded CF Express Type A cards and make a little bit more money? But as long as they give the option for either card, I think that's going to be a good middle ground. So Sony, put in this dual module. Would really like to see that in the a7 IV. Give us the option to decide which cards to get. If it was me, I'll get the CF Express Type A cards. All right, finally, let's talk pricing. All right, let's be reasonable here. If they do everything that I've mentioned here, 36 megapixels, 12 to 15 frames per second, and frames per second burst, updated autofocusing system both in photo and video, we get 4K 120 to 10-bit 422, the CF Express dual, slots and everything. I think we're gonna see a camera priced around $21.99, $22.99 US. I know some folks don't want to hear that. They want to keep it at under $2,000, but I think their goal might just be, let's just make sure it's priced under the EOS R6. That's the way I would see it. But hey, let's say $21.99. Let's say this camera is $21.99 with these features. If you own the a7 III currently right now, would that be enough for you to just drop the money for it? To sell your current a7 III and whatever extra funds you have, go ahead and upgrade to the a7 IV for $21.99. Let me know. So that's my thoughts on that. And then as far as the release date for this camera or announcement, I'm worried we're going to see the A5 first before the a7 IV. I think we're going to see this entry-level full-frame camera first. So I thought we were going to see the a7 IV maybe before the end of the year in December. So I thought maybe we're going to see the a7 IV before the end of the year, but now I'm thinking maybe WPPI of 2021. 2021. I think we'll see the entry-level full-frame before the end of the year, but not the a7 IV, unfortunately. So those are my predictions, folks. We're just having fun. Let me know down below your list of features you want to see and also the price point you would be willing to pay. It's just some fun stuff to talk about as we wait for the next camera to come out. All right, that's going to do it for me, guys, in this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out my other content. I'll catch you later. Peace.